Hey guys, Walaman here again with your second episode of Adaptive, the video show for disabled gamers. So today, I'm going to talk a little bit about guilds, and you know, uh, guilds are a huge part of World of Warcraft and a huge part of a lot of other games, especially in WoW since Cataclysm and the new guild leveling system. Um, People feel like they're losing out on things if they're not in a level 25 guild, and lots of people will flock to the bigger guilds and things like that. And I think as a disabled gamer, a guild is a kind of especially hard subject when you're looking at a guild, because I think there's a lot of people that would like to say, and I would love it if it was this simple, but it's just not this simple. As a lot of people would love to say, well, if you're not comfortable telling your guild that you're disabled, you probably shouldn't be in the guild. And while I think that's a great idea, I don't think it's quite the way that human interaction works out in reality. I think there's always a little bit of there's a little bit of hesitation with anything like that, anything that's sensitive information that could end up affecting you negatively in any way. So I think there's several different ways for approaching it. To be perfectly honest, the way that I approached being disabled in the guild, and this is specifically during my time raiding with Mamas and the Papas, is I didn't tell anyone for the longest time. And while I think it worked out, I think I might have been able to benefit a lot had I at least told the GM and a couple of the officers who I was pretty close to and trusted pretty well. But that's the problem, is it's something you do have to build a certain level of trust with the guild before you're ever going to feel comfortable kind of almost like coming out as disabled, I guess. And for some people, for some of you out there, it's going to be as simple as just that that there's things that you cannot do in game, and there's things that people would have to adapt to you to help you adapt. I remember back in Kata there was a boss in Vortex Pinnacle, Assad, that required jumping, and for whatever reason, the way I had my UI set up, this is a problem that I seem to run into a lot when I'm setting up a UI, is I'll just forget that jumping is a thing, and I'll forget to put it in there. So for me, luckily for me, I was the healer, so it meant I just was ready to cleanse myself. But in a situation like that, that's a limitation I would have had if I was the tank. I probably, I might not have wanted to explain myself. It would have been very difficult to explain myself. I think in a lot of pugs, you'd get yelled at. You'd be called lazy. You're too lazy to jump. And when in fact the way my UI was set up, it was just to jump would require completely taking my hand away from where all my actions are and going over to the space bar and then all the way back, and it would have really slowed me down. So I think that's the benefit that of telling your guild that you're disabled. I think there's a lot of people out there who are very, very willing to be helpful, and who at the end of the day, if you say, hey, I can't do this, and if you explain why you can't do it, and if you're articulate about it, and if you and if you're explain yourself well, and if you try to give them a general sense of what you can and can't do, then I think it can really be a positive experience. But I don't think that's always the case. I know it's got to be hard for anyone out there who feels like they can't tell their guild if they even have one. There's some people who feel like they can't join a guild because they're disabled, and because a lot of people have this notion that being disabled means that they're holding other people back. And I think that's definitely a mindset that, on both sides, from the perspective of the disabled person and from the perspective of the guild themselves, I think if that's a mindset that you have, you're not going to be very successful. I think you have to have, a certain mindset of those people being willing to help you, whether you want to explain completely why, or it's, I think it's a little bit okay to say, I don't really want to discuss it, but I can't do certain things. And I think by no means is just saying I'm disabled, I don't want to explain how. If that's something you feel comfortable with, then that's it. At the end of the day, it's your information. I think there's one thing that's interesting for disabled people is a lot of times in real life we don't get that opportunity to hide whatever it is. We can't just if a lot of people are have some kind of obvious physical limitations, and it shows. And I think that that's something. So it's a new experience coming into a video game, and being able to have that choice of whether or not you're going to tell people, because people don't just look at you and know it immediately. And I think so you have to kind of go through a new mindset of that it's your choice to choose whether or not you want to tell people, or whether you want to tell certain people. I think for me personally, that's the route that I would recommend, is unless you're in a big time raiding guild, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think you can kind of get away with just applying and just letting them go based off of your performance. I think for most guilds, if you're just leveling, if you're just doing if you're just using a guild to have people to talk to and just be able to have guild perks, then you're fine. You don't really need to worry too much. If you want to tell them, you can tell them, and if you don't, you don't. And it becomes that simple. But I think once you start stepping up into higher performances of, higher performance levels of the game, from going from heroic dungeons, which into LFR, into raiding, I think is when you start to get to a point where you might want to consider, if not telling the whole guild, at least telling the people in the guild which you trust. And I think that's important. Hopefully, I know in my time playing the game, I've made several people I would consider to be good friends, and so just like a good friend in real life, if I had something weighing on me that I felt was bothering me, I would tell them. And it kind of worked out the same way in game, as there was a few people I told, and the information was out there. It wasn't secret or anything like that, but no one else really needed to know. I just told the people who it really affected. It was essentially the guild master and the officers, and left it at that. And I think that's a strategy that can work really well. Is I think if you're looking at, there's two different things you've got to look at. If you're already in a guild, then you've got to make the decision whether or not to tell your guild members. That's one thing. But I think there's a completely different mindset you have to have if you're applying to a guild, especially if it's a raiding guild. Because I think you do need to be wary about the fact that people might judge you, and you might not get that rating spot because they might just not think you're worth even trying out. When I think in that situation, if you're applying to like a hardcore rating guild, I think it's definitely appropriate to wait until you've been accepted to tell your guild, unless of course you need the guild to make special adaptions, big or small, for you. In that case, I think then you need to be a little bit more open. But if you're the type of person who, all of your weaknesses can be handled on your end, and you don't need to worry about other guildmates helping you with that, then yeah, I would probably avoid telling them until you're accepted, just to reduce any chance of of somehow losing a spot. And unfortunately, that's just the way people work, is they might deny you. That's not consciously, but they might deny you that spot because of perceived weakness and perceived difference and things like that, and just because of their lack of understanding. Arguably, though, there's the other side of it is, like I said before, if they're going to do that, you could argue that that's not the kind of guild you want to join, and that just comes down to a personal choice of, you know, what you feel is right for you. And I feel like that's really, really important, is to decide, you know, what you want to tell people, because ultimately it really is your choice. And I know that sounds like a kind of wishy-washy answer of saying, oh, it's your choice, do what you want. But hopefully I've outlined, you know, a few of the ways that the thought process can occur, and the way that you can break down why and why not you might want to tell people or not tell people, and just the pros and cons of it. Because there are pros and there are cons, just like everything. There's always goods and bad side. And I think telling people about being disabled definitely has its place. It can help you immensely if a guildie, you know, knows how to help you with something. Either if it's, you know, there's the extreme example of, I know I've heard the story of the one blind player who plays, and a lot of his movement is controlled by following people. So there's that extreme example of someone, you know, purposely helping you and purposely going out of their way to help you. But then there's the more subtle things, like you might just have a guildie that knows this really great add-on that could end up, you know, transforming your gameplay. So I think in those senses, there can definitely be those things that can really help you. I guess I kind of want to end this episode by talking about my guild, Don't Panic. It's, yes, it's a Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy reference. It wasn't started with the intent of being a disabled affinity guild, I guess would be the term I would put on it. Is a disabled friendly guild, a guild that's not necessarily exclusively for people with disabilities, because I think that's kind of silly to exclude people from a group as long as they're going to be cooperative and as long as they're going to help people. I think, yeah, people can join if they want to. But what I've kind of started to transform Don't Panic into is into a guild where it's where it's okay to and it's always been a guild where, I mean, it's been a small leveling guild, but I've had the mindset, and I've told people, you know, don't be afraid to ask questions. I know that in this case it was mostly that they were new at the game. So it was, I know that you're new at the game. You don't have to know everything right away. Ask the questions you need to ask. I'm not going to care. I don't care if you don't know where Stormwind is. It's fine. I'll tell you. I'm not going to tell you sarcastically either. I'll genuinely tell you. I'll show you there if I have to. I think that's the kind of mindset that more people need to have. And if you out there as a player really, really feel like you're unable to join a guild because of a disability, I would strongly urge you to give me a message. You can email me at walaman@theadaptivegamer.com, or you can log on to WoW and see if I'm on. If you look at our guild, if you look at our guild ranks, obviously Walaman is my character. The other character you're likely to catch me on is Deciberia, and all my alts are in the alts and family rank of the guild. So if you look on the forums, you can see who's in the alts and family rank. Chances are you're going to be contacting me or contacting someone who can literally call me up and have me on the game in a matter of minutes. So that's something that you can do to, if you really feel like that's going to be that limiting, then I'm saying I'm creating a place here where that's okay, and where, and even if you want to join and then never, do anything with guildmates, that's fine. I want you to feel like you have a place where you can be, and where you don't have to be excluded because of a disability. So yeah, that's kind of where Don't Panic is heading in. It's heading in the direction of hopefully being a disabled affinity guild, where we're going to specifically say, hey, if you give someone crap because of poor performance, sorry, we're not going to deal with that. We want to be a helpful place, and we're going to not say, oh man, why is your DPS 5k. We're going to not publicly call out people. You would, you might be able to very politely say, hey man, I noticed, your DPS is a little low. It's no problem. But if you want any tips in trying to improve that, I can help you out. That's kind of more of the mindset that I want in Don't Panic, and hopefully it's a mindset that everyone can get on board with, and hopefully we can grow this guild. We're only a level 10 guild right now. We're a small guild of like 30 people. So I'm hoping to grow the guild into something that's, it's something that we're known as that guild, that's that disabled gamers guild. I'm alliance side on ENR. I've put this up on the website, but just reiterating for YouTube and for anyone who just might not be aware. Alliance side on ENR, which is a PvE realm. I personally PvE most of the time. I'm also probably, if there's interest, going to either set up a Horde guild under an Adaptive Gamers banner, or getting in contact with, I've heard of one Horde guild, Dire Hunt on Wormrest Accord, who I'm trying to get in contact with now, to see if we want to kind of link up and have, if you're Alliance side, come to Don't Panic. If you're Horde side, go to Dire Hunt, and we'll have things organized in such a way that would work. And it's something that's not in place yet. I haven't talked to anyone from Dire Hunt yet. I'm hoping that by saying this and by mentioning their name, one of you guys out there might be one of them. And I've tried messaging the guild master, and hopefully we can get into contact. So yeah, I've ranted for a while about my guild. Sorry about that. But I'm just trying to make sure that there's a place out there for people, and that's something that's seen as okay. So if you're already in game, obviously you're probably going to be looking at joining a guild on your own realm. But if you're feeling like it would be worth re-rolling or worth transferring, feel free to join us. Don't Panic on ENR. So yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for listening. This is a much longer video than the one posted last time. Expect videos to be more of this kind of length. I have to stay under a half an hour for now because I'm on YouTube. But you can expect them to be, in the area of, 20-25 minutes. And I'm going to try to do them. I managed to do this one all in one take. And I'm going to try to, unless it's incorporating frapsing, which I've been having issues with, by the way. If anyone knows how to do frapsing really well, and if anyone really knows what they're doing with that, shoot me a message. Again, Walaman at theadaptivegamer.com. I'd love to talk with you. I'm not really looking at like hiring anyone or anything like that. So, but I just want a couple lessons, I guess, is what I'm asking for. so that, because actually the video that was going to be the second adaptive episode actually got delayed because of issues with frapsing. So hopefully we can get that up and running. I want to show you guys my UI, how it works, and how exactly to set it up. I walk you through exactly where everything is with the Logitech G600, which I've been using now. It's an amazing mouse. I really recommend it. The Razer Naga is good as well, but the Logitech has that G-Shift function, which is really great and kind of puts it above and beyond for the exact same price. So thanks guys for listening, and I hope you guys tune in next time. You can, if you have any suggestions, you can post them on the YouTube comments, comment on the website. Again, message me. You can message me actually on the members panel of the website as well. You can send me a message to my Walaman username, or again, you can email me at Walaman@theadaptivegamer.com. So thanks guys, and I'll catch you next time.